This Biden-Trump debate got dicey. You guys got to see some of the most heated moments. Check this out.
The 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden.
Folks, how are you?
He's walking with a hunch.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Don't like it. Don't like the body language.
And please welcome the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump.
All right. No handshake. Look at that.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now.
Always talks about corporate greed. Let me just say first and foremost, you need businesses to operate in your country. If you tax and levy the heck out of these companies, they're going to leave. They're going to go elsewhere. And you know what happens then? You lose jobs for everyday Americans. You need to incentivize these businesses to stay in America. What Joe Biden is doing, he's waging war against all of them. Trump knows how to run a business, and he ran America like a business. Also, the question led with the statistic that houses cost 30% more since you've been in office. And then he immediately says, right off the cuff, oh yeah, that's because Donald Trump put me in a bad position. That's basically what he said. Excuse me, sir. He just said a statistic. 30% higher since you got in office. Not when Donald Trump was in office, since you got in office. How can this possibly be his fault?
If you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you, President Biden.
People forget just how crazy 2020 and 2021 actually were. Because if you remember back then, people didn't know what the heck this COVID thing was. Some people thought it was going to like wipe out 1/10 of the world. That's how crazy some scientists and experts thought this would get. So obviously he had to put some preventative measures in place and the economy took a bit of a hit. But did you realize that a few months after, it was roaring better than it ever had before? Nobody predicted that would ever happen. And also in 2021, the Biden vaccine mandates, that affected me personally. I was not able to fly. I was not able to do a lot of things. Certain jobs I was not allowed to do because I refused to take this vaccine mandate. And I was not the only one. There are millions of Americans just like me. Because we believe if you don't have bodily autonomy, if you don't have the option to decide what goes in and out of your body, then what do you have control over really in this world? I'm not letting the government put anything in my body if I don't want it in my body. I was willing to die over that cause, and I wholeheartedly believed I was never going to hop on a plane again because I did not think those mandates would ever get lifted. But that just goes to show how quickly people forget. Biden was the main person responsible for those mandates, and he needs to be held accountable. People cannot forget. That was just an evil, evil act, in my opinion.
Economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we find ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cause countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
Of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump.
Donald Trump hit the nail on the head. What's happening to this country, nobody envisioned this ever happening. Nobody thought that one president could be that incompetent. Because what is happening, I don't know if he's being just incompetent or he's actively trying to destroy this country. Because it just seems like every act that he makes, foreign policy, whether it's us at the border, whether it's economically, or whether it's just the overall American sentiment and how we feel about our government, everything is so much worse than it was simply 4 years ago. And part of me believes that it's intentional, but I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that Biden is trying his best because that is a scary alternative. But the thing is, I like to consider myself a patriot. I love America. I love everything about this country. But when I talk to people, I'm not proud of this country because what I am watching America do on the world stage is it's embarrassing. It is straight up embarrassing, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's the Ukraine war, everything in general. I can go on and on for hours. I don't even want to get into it. But it just seems like Joe Biden is the opposite of King Midas. King Midas, he touches it, it turns to gold. Joe Biden, everything he touches turns to trash. I really don't think this country can stand another 4 years of Joe Biden because that is a scary thought, and I don't know if America will ever get back to the heights it once was if we get 4 more years of this guy because he's actively trying to destroy the country. It's looking very bleak and very dire. So we need Donald Trump back in office to right the ship, put us back on the right track. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Who do you think won the debate? And also, do you think that the debate was rigged? You think he got the questions beforehand? Do you think there was like an earpiece? What do you think? I want to know your wildest conspiracies because I heard some crazy stuff and I want to know what you guys think. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to smash a like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.